Good afternoon, folks, and thanks for joining us. UFC 286 post-show. Leon Edwards made it. Our boy did it. We look smart because we were right, and it was a massive risk. Tim Wheaton, Frazer Krohn. Frazer, how you doing today?
Never in doubt. Come to MMA Sucka, the MMA Sucka podcast. We just spit facts. Leon Edwards going to win. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. Kamaru Usman didn't stand a chance since we dropped the podcast last Monday. Kamaru Usman did not stand a chance.
You know what? We picked Leon Edwards when we recorded Monday, Tuesday, whatever it was. And then I had to listen to every podcast and pundit being like, yeah, this is a blowout for Kamaru Usman. And then I was like, man, am I wrong? Holy crap, are we wrong?
Yeah.
How much doubt did you have come Saturday?
None.
No, okay.
A lot.
All right.
A lot.
Yeah.
I had a lot. Morning Combat made me doubt. The Fight Disciples, obviously, they're slightly biased in favor of UK based fighters because they're UK based. Yeah. Had me in doubt. Watch the all the BT Sport previews, all the UFC embedded. I was quite confident on Leon. I can't lie. Even after listening to all of these, it was essentially saying, look, Usman's going to win. Essentially, I'm just looking at the MMA Sucka staff picks here.
Yeah,
it was 9-3 in favor of Usman. It was just myself, you, and Andrew Benjamin that picked Edwards.
Yeah.
It's to me, Kamaru Usman looked slightly passive. I think I tweeted it out on maybe Thursday or Friday before the press conference. He looked kind of passive. He looked almost not. I can't think of the word. Not sort of disrespectful of Edwards, but kind of dismissive of I've won every round. Give or take one round. We fought for the best part of 8 rounds. Three round fight the first time, all but a 5-round fight the second time. He won sort of 7 out of those 8 rounds.
Yeah,
pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
So what makes Leon Edwards think that he's gonna be able to hang with Kamaru Usman? And he did. He grew in. I said to my, I went around to friends and watched it, and I said to the boys there, I think Leon Edwards is he's gonna grow into being a champion. He was always a contender. He was always the forgotten man. He's kind of disrespected a little bit, in my opinion. On this 9 or 10 fight win streak, never got a title shot. I gets a title shot against Usman. No one's really thinking. Head kicks him, knocks him out. He's grown into a champion now. He's going into the fight with so much confidence. If you just look at the just when Bruce Buffer's announcing the names before and in the second fight, Leon Edwards is just sort of nodding at Kamaru Usman, not quite knowing what he sort of he's got in store. This fight, what does he do? He reacts. That was a pre-planned thing. Usman does that to every single opponent. He walks across the octagon, beats his chest, raises his arm. The pre-planned, almost WWE nature of Leon Edwards, then sort of pulling the trigger on Kamaru Usman. I've seen so many pictures of it. That's an iconic picture. Now, if Leon Edwards goes on to be knocked out in the first round, he looks a little bit stupid. But let's not forget, I think that picture will go down in history like the Cain Velasquez Junior Dos Santos. When the fight, that kind of face off when the names were being announced. And I think after the final bout, I was confident that Edwards had won.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know in this sport with the fence grab, with the point taken off. But I think pre-fight, fight week, Kamaru Usman really grew into the villain, and he played up to the sort of role that he was given, the away fighter. I thought that was brilliant from Kamaru Usman. I thought on fight night Kamaru Usman was good, but like I say, I think Edwards really grew into the role of the defending champion in his home country, and we saw that he was confident. We've seen Edwards talk more this week than we have throughout his entire career, and I'm here for it. And I really like the performance by Leon Edwards.
I think the confidence is really coming through as well, and it was everyone in the camp as well, clearly putting the belt on him. Like, it's such a weird thing. We're still living in the universe of that 4th to 5th round speech that motivated Leon. Like, it still feels like we're riding that high. But yeah, clearly he's more confident, and he was doing. This is also why when you and I did the technical breakdown, this is what we expected maybe the last fight to look like a little bit more, but it was at elevation, so things are a little bit different. But things, Leon, he's a very good striker. His counter wrestling in more recent fights looks better than his striking does. Like his takedown defense, his double hands on the wrist, I forget what the name is, his knee shield to get back up. there's just a few things that he does that counter wrestlers so effectively. So Kamaru was not able to get any hugely meaningful offense going, wasn't really able to get his game going. Leon on the feet was very cautious. He knew how big the stakes were, but just was a little bit sharper, was able to land a lot more on the feet. But I think this is why, this is what we saw. And it wasn't just Kamaru's age and health definitely was a factor in it, but I think we can confidently say that Kamaru didn't lose because of his knees. Leon's a better fighter, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I completely agree with what you say. I almost saw Usman being a little bit gun shy. I think he rocked Edwards at one point with a strike, and then which led Edwards to I think it was, Edwards maybe got taken down, fought back. I mean, I've watched the fight twice. I watched it once at a friend's house with pretty much no commentary because we were all sort of talking over it, all excited for Leon Edwards. The amount of times that I heard headshot dead shouted at my friends, I can't say, but there's only one mug, pound for pound, headshot dead. There's one mug to be drinking out of today.
I don't even have one.
But there's one mug to be drinking out of, pound for pound, headshot dead. Even from the weigh-ins, he was sort of getting the crowd on their feet, headshot dead. Usman, like I say, Usman for me seemed a little gun shy. He seemed a little, he could have put his foot when Leon shot for that lazy takedown. He just got sprawled out from Usman.
Yeah.
I think Leon was hurt then, and maybe the old Usman would have put his foot down. But for me, I think, was it that Leon was good? Was it that Kamaru was gun shy? Was it just Leon was just better? He was just deterring Usman. That first strike that landed in the first 10 seconds of the first round, a massive leg kick that buckled Kamaru's leg completely inwards. It's just effective work by Leon Edwards throughout.
The body kicks that folded him over. It was constant work on the body and legs.
I mean, he made the adjustments that won him that fight. And I don't mean to sound like I'm a genius, but the adjustments are what I spoke about in my keys to victory before the second fight.
That's right.
Use lateral movement. His lateral movement was phenomenal.
Yes.
Phenomenal. At no real point do we see him if you compare obviously MMA and the UFC don't tend to have it, but I'd love to see a kind of heat map of Leon Edwards' second fight and first fight compared, because we always talk about the inner and the outer octagon. Leon was almost completely in that outer octagon, the black line on the inside of the octagon. Leon was almost completely cage side of that, allowing Kamaru to shoot in on him, get him up against the fence, take his legs from underneath him and dominate him in that second fight.
Yeah.
Now on Saturday night, yes, he was in that position, but he was never with his back static against the cage. He was circling left, he was circling right. He was fighting out of orthodox a lot. Leon's a southpaw. He was fighting out of the orthodox stance a lot, which kept Kamaru guessing. Leon used lateral movement, but then he used the movement. He met Usman in the middle of the strike, and he didn't allow. And we'll go on to talk about the co-main event in a second, which is what Gaethje did against Fiziev. He didn't allow Fiziev to hit him on the end of his punches. Same with Leon and Kamaru. And whenever they did get into that clinch, Leon bang dropped the knee, prevented Usman from going for the takedown from the in the open space from the mat. Like you say, he regularly kicked the body, and he kind of set that up from the last fight. If you get a head kick like that, you've seen that head kick. Usman says he's watched the fight hundreds of times. If you see yourself get head kicked as badly as you did and get, and we, you alluded to it last week and we spoke about it. That wasn't a big, powerful head kick. He slammed the leg in the exact right position because Usman was sort of slipping into the head kick. For Leon to be almost setting that up 6 months ago with that head kick, then he hit the legs, then he was hitting the body constantly. He did throw a couple of high kicks in this one. None of them landed flush, but Usman's aware of that high kick, the threat of the high kick. He's thinking about his past fights. Jorge Masvidal, I've never seen Jorge Masvidal throw a high kick. I've seen him throw a flying knee. I've seen him throw multiple flying knees, but he's not throwing a big high kick. Colby Covington, not a kicker.
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns hasn't got that leg up and looked to wrap it around Usman's head. So he's constantly thinking that Leon, he's attacking the body. He's attacking one of these is going to go high. One of these is going to go high. He almost dropped Usman, like you say, he folded him. He almost dropped him with a couple of body kicks. But like you say, it's what Leon's added to the game. He made the appropriate adjustments for this fight. He's kicking up the middle, preventing the wrestler, like we saw, you know, like we saw a little bit last fight, but we saw a lot of it on Saturday night.
Mhm.
Usman landed 4 of 15 takedowns, which for this relentless wrestler isn't great. And for me, it's not, he landed these 4 takedowns. He didn't do anything with them. Leon never accepted bottom position. And when he was on bottom, like you say, he used the knee shield, he used the 2-on-1 to get back to his feet. When he was pressed against the cage, he did use the 2-on-1, hands in the glove. It is what it is. Grabbing the fence. That for me, that's probably just a reaction thing. I don't think, yes, he was obviously looking to prevent the takedown by putting his hands in the cage. And he paid the price. The point was taken away.
Yeah.
And people had I saw a little bit of an issue online with the point being taken away and Kamaru not getting the position back. Well, it's for me, it's one or the other.
It's one or the other, yeah.
Your opponent gets the point taken away and you start in open space, or he doesn't get the point taken away, he gets a hard warning and you get put back in the position that you were in.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the right one to do, and I don't know what Kamaru Usman would have wanted from that position, because Leon was so good at fighting back to his feet, not accepting bottom position, that Kamaru probably would have taken the point, off Edwards for that one.
And 1 point is massive in a 5-round fight. That's a fifth of the fight. That's huge. 1 point is
sure.
massive. This isn't like a boxing fight where there's 12 rounds. There's 5. 1 point is 1 round. That's a massive win right there.
I mean, we saw it in the Jai Herbert fight. He got a point taken away for low blows, which, I mean, since the footage has come out, some of those are questionable low blows. They're not. Let's just say they're not the lowest of blows, to say the least. But he obviously went on to draw the fight. He won the fight, but with the point deduction, he drew the fight. So that could have been massive, like you say. If I think it was a really good performance. It was pretty dominant from Leon Edwards, and it was unquestionable in my opinion. But I wouldn't have been massively surprised to see a draw, to see a 3 rounds to 2 in favor of Leon Edwards with the point deduction. I think it was the result was fair, majority decision. We were looking 48-47, 48-46, 48-46, and David Leatherby with a 47-47. I think that's very fair, but this is MMA. I wouldn't have been surprised to see a draw. I would have been pissed off to see a draw, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't have been surprised at all.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with you. Things, because I was watching with people who had never watched before, and we were talking about the rules, and they were kind of asking about like what's against the rules, why did we stop there? And maybe I'm the wrong person to introduce people to the sport just because how jaded I've become over the years. But I was like, you can break the rules in this sport because they don't punish rule breaks. Like you can do anything you want. You can rake across their eyes and kick him in the balls. They're not going to just keep cheating until they take a point. And then they actually took a point from Leon. And I was like, oh man, that's really rare. That actually like never happens. So I was very surprised. Like that never happens, right?
No, for sure. And in such a big fight where that could have been, I was worried that Leon maybe get a point taken for, multiple low blows. I think he hit Kamaru with 2 low blows. He obviously grabbed the fence, which is almost an instant point deduction. And I was the same as you. A couple of friends were sort of saying, so is that, has he lost that round then because he lost the points on? No, that could be a 9-9 round. If Leon wins, goes on to win the round. We often talk about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I think it's the first fight. Tyson was knocked down in that final round, but he got up to win the round. Now in boxing, if you get a knockdown, it's a 10-8.
Yes,
but Tyson won the rest of the round. So realistically, that's a 9-9 round because he's been knocked down. It's a 10-8. It's a 9-8 round. Boxing's a mess, but with MMA, you get a point deducted, which it's difficult to explain to people. You show them the Mo Mokaev fight, his knees on backwards, his legs literally bending the way it shouldn't. Oh no, that's perfectly legal, but you can't grab a fence. You can't grab the. It's a crazy sport. But
you just can't, you can't grab the glove. But again, they're not really going to punish you for it.
Exactly, you can't grab the glove unless you've been caught. You
can
grab until you've been caught, and then you'll only get a hard warning the first time.
Yeah,
but you'll fight back to you'll get, if you do get caught, you'll probably get put back in the position. You'll get the 2-on-1 grip, and
you get a breather. You get a 30-second rest.
Exactly,
you might as well cheat. There's nothing but benefits.
Exactly, it is what it is, and you can't tell me Kamaru. there's footage that Kamaru Usman, when he faced Colby Covington, got low blowed, and
I
as
know.
soon as it was shown on the big screen, he jumped straight back to his feet because he realized that he hadn't actually, he realized that the footage shows that he didn't get low blowed.
Yeah.
Bo Nickel a couple of weeks ago supposedly low blowed Jamie Pickett, and nothing happened about that.
If
It
the
is
ref,
this is a cage fight,
yeah.
and there's a perfect sort of area to kick, in the inside of the thigh, the stomach. Some of those kicks are going to slide into the groin. These low blows are going to happen. It is what it is. Like I say, these things happen. There's a reason you wear a cup. There's a reason you wear, if you want that kind of the eye poke sort the gloves out. If you want groin strikes, eradicated from the sport, say you can't kick the inner thigh and you can't kick the stomach. We're taking too much away from MMA at this point. I think the point deduction for the fence grab, because it was a blatant fence grab, it affected the fight in that moment because he prevented himself from getting taken down. Point deduction is absolutely fine for me. I'm glad that that's not sort of jaded the fight, and Kamaru Usman didn't go on to win the fight because of the point deduction, because I don't think that would have been fair.
Agreed.
Especially a fight of this magnitude. The Jai Herbert versus Ludwig Klein, low blows, point deducted, draw overall. With the greatest respect to those guys, they're not on the championship level. That fight didn't have massive ramifications for the division itself. This one did. And I'm glad that the point deduction didn't take away from what was a phenomenal performance from Leon Edwards.
Yeah, it really was just a masterful performance. And now we look back at Kamaru Usman. Is he a step older? Is he a step slower? Honestly, yeah. But also, I think we now look at, as we always do in a championship, when a champion falls, is we actually look back and kind of take a second look at some of the wins and ask, like, oh, yeah, okay. It's an okay title reign. We did the same thing with Tyron Woodley of like, oh, yeah, some of these ones weren't that good. And now we're doing it again with Kamaru Usman of like, these were style layups. Yeah, I think in the end, like, you could take Leon Edwards at nearly any point at their best. If both are at their very best, I would pick Leon every single time. Yeah, I think this fight clearly showed that, right? It doesn't matter if Kamaru Usman was that much slower, that much faster. I think Leon beats him. And I know he lost 7 years ago, but he's developed since then. That was 7 years ago.
I mean, GSP lost to Matt Serra, lost to Matt Hughes. Yep. Still probably top 3 MMA fighters to ever walk the planet.
Yep. DJ
lost to Dominic Cruz, lost to Henry Cejudo. Still probably one of the best 3 MMA fighters to ever walk the planet. Losses happen in the sport because of development. These guys, and I mean, the Leon Edwards story itself, lose to Kamaru Usman, come back, knock him out. Oh, it was a fluke. He was losing the fight. It was a fluke. He then goes and outpoints him over 5 rounds pretty decisively.
Amazing.
Leon needed that win. Yes. He needed that win in the way that he did. If he would have got another sort of flash knockout or eked out a split decision, everyone would have been saying, "Oh, that head kick was a fluke." No chance. Fluky head kick. He was lucky. There's no luck over a 5-round, pretty dominant win. I tweeted out from the MMA Sucka Twitter account. How many rounds did you have Leon Edwards winning? Because there was a conversation online about that Leon Edwards had won 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think he won 5. I had him winning 3 rounds, but I wouldn't be surprised if they saw people saw him winning 4 rounds. I think 5 rounds. We got 10.6% of people said that he won 5 rounds. 29.8% said that he won 4 rounds, and 59.6% said that he won 3. So the majority of people are seeing it as a 3-2 split in favor of Leon. But I think a 4-1 even in favor of Leon isn't that sort of out there, as it were. I don't think that is that bad a shout. I'll be honest. I think this. And, did we see Kamaru Usman get old overnight? I don't think so, because I think that Kamaru Usman probably beats the majority of welterweights in the division at the moment. Yeah. There's fascinating fights out there still for Kamaru Usman because the division is developing. He took on all comers on his way to the belt. He took on all comers when he had the belt. He was never one of these guys that got the belt. Like Islam, he's calling for a title shot. Defend the belt in your own division.
Defend the belt. It's such a good division.
Islam Makhachev has 1 win over the top. Sorry, 2 wins over the top 10. Start defending your belt in your division. This is why we respected DJ so much. This is why we respect, Israel Adesanya so much to the champion.
Yeah.
The logical fight for Leon Edwards was the Kamaru Usman rematch.
Yeah.
he's now looking at maybe Colby, looking at maybe Gilbert Burns, looking at the Jorge Masvidal rematch. Yeah, I say Jorge Masvidal rematch. I mean the grudge match between the two. But for Kamaru Usman, there's fascinating fights. He hasn't beat the number 3 guy Khamzat Chimaev. He hasn't beat the number 4 guy Bilal Muhammad. He hasn't beat the number 6 guy Shavkat. There's still fights for Kamaru Usman at the top of the division. I was convinced that he'd retire on Saturday night. He's done it. His body's a wreck. He goes up and down the stairs backwards. He only runs on grass and all this. But he's clearly still got a lot to give, because that was it was, he wasn't completely dominated, outclassed, battered and bruised and bloodied by Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is without a doubt the best 170er on the planet, or at least in the UFC. But, and Leon Edwards is going to take all comers. I know he kind of squashed the Colby Covington fight, but that's the best kept secret in MMA. Colby Covington weighed in on Friday. Nobody, I wasn't seeing any, it was hinted at the press conference. I saw nobody talking about that. And Dana says that Colby is the next in line. For me, no, Bilal's the next in line. Colby's the ticket seller. Bilal's the storyline. And Jorge Masvidal, it's all very well saying if Masvidal beats Burns, Burns is a horrible stylistic matchup for Masvidal. So Masvidal needs to focus on Burns before he gets any conversation of a title shot.
Masvidal's not beating any of these guys. He's lucky to have made it this far in his career. Like, we're still talking about his wins over Donald Cerrone, Darren Till, and Ben Askren. None of those guys are in the UFC anymore.
And Nate Diaz, not in the UFC
and
anymore.
Nate, I forgot.
His winning run hasn't aged so well.
No.
Let's not forget he lost dominantly to Stephen Thompson, who's ranked above him.
Yep.
Thompson's got a better core for the title shot, in my opinion, than Jorge.
This ticket mover weight class, I think if you remove Colby out of welterweight altogether, things start making more sense. But the UFC is just like, no, that guy moves tickets. That guy maybe moves pay-per-views. I think Leon beats him pretty handedly. And I know, he's a wrestler, blah, blah, blah. This guy's just like a spammy jab, 1-2 into takedowns. And I actually don't think that's much of an issue for Leon. Maybe I'm crazy, though. But I'm actually very confident in Leon against Colby, more than I am against Usman.
Yeah, for sure. I think, if Edwards can do what he did with Usman and kind of meet him in that contact point in the middle, land the knees in the clinch. Colby is not the kind of wrestler that Usman is. Usman looks to get you up against the fence, take the weight from your feet and ground and pound you when you're down there. Colby will try and get takedowns in open space by sort of just ramming his head into your waist. Now, if you hit him with knees like Leon, let's not forget Leon rocked Kamaru with that knee, and I think it's the second round or fourth round. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But he rocked Kamaru with that knee. Now, if he does that to Colby, who knows how that one will play out. Unfortunately, I do think it will be Colby next. I really think it should be Bilal. I really think it should be Bilal Muhammad. I think international fight weeks may be a stretch too far, but maybe an August card, maybe the July card. We've got what? The rest, say March is over, he'll be suspended for the rest of March. You got April, May, June, 3.5 months. I think maybe give him that date in August. He's used to fighting in August. He fought Kamaru last August or September for me.
Sure.
Maybe even put it at MSG in November. Not headlining. Don't get me wrong. I think McGregor will headline that, but having 2 title fights, Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, unfortunately, isn't a massive fight. For us, it's a massive fight. We know that that'll be a competitive fight. We know that Leon was winning the first one. He's got a storyline behind it. Bilal deserves the shot, but to a casual fan, I don't think that's a massive fight. But Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler is a huge fight.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
That headline's MSG. Yeah. Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad is a co-main event. I think makes a lot of sense in MSG.
Yeah, and they're both
and Leon deserves it,
Oh, absolutely. They're both Paradigm Sports. They're on the same management team and stuff. I'm sure they would be tickled to do something like that, honestly.
Exactly. And, I think it's deserved. Leon deserves to kind of, he's had Kamaru twice. He's traveled here, there, and everywhere to get fights. His fight with Cerrone, it was a weird one. His fight.
The UFC didn't want him. The UFC didn't want Leon Edwards to be doing all this.
Exactly. His fight with Cerrone. Let me just double check. Cause I remember it. I think it was in Singapore.
That was a Singapore one, yeah.
Weird fight to be headlining in Singapore, in my opinion. He never got the Darren Till fight that was kind of teased at before Darren Till got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal. He never got the Jorge Masvidal fight. Yeah. I guarantee you that he wanted that Jorge Masvidal fight a lot more than Jorge wanted that fight. He headlined against Bilal Muhammad. I think that was a short notice fight, the Bilal Muhammad fight.
I don't quite
Um,
remember how we got there, but
I,
even though it's
I,
a
I
no contest, like no doubt who won. And anyway,
I mean, he was piecing him up in that first round, and then the eye poke.
yeah.
It's unfortunate the eye poke, of course, wasn't intentional. Yeah, so the Bilal Muhammad fight came when Chimaev withdrew from the fight with lingering COVID-19 effect. You know, he was supposed to be fighting Tyron Woodley
Oh,
at the O2 in the main event,
yep.
and that one got cancelled due to COVID.
Yep.
Remember, he's got 3 cancelled fights on Tapology, all with Khamzat Chimaev. You know, Edwards tested positive for COVID. Chimaev recovering from COVID. Chimaev had lingering effects from COVID. He then had the no contest with Bilal. You know, he was slated to fight Diaz. That one got cancelled. He was slated to fight Jorge Masvidal on the Oliveira versus Poirier card. Masvidal pulled out of that one with an injury. This guy is signing up to every single fight he's given.
Yep.
And now, now he's the kingmaker. Allow him to pick and choose a fight a little bit. Colby doesn't deserve a fight after he beat Jorge Masvidal, a Jorge Masvidal that's on the decline.
Yes.
And he sat out, and then he suddenly weighs in. Supposedly rejected a fight with Bilal Muhammad on this card for the co-main event, sort of a number 1 contender spot.
Yeah.
For me, Colby needs another win, and I want to see Colby versus Chimaev. Chimaev needs to prove that he can make the weight.
Yeah.
And give Bilal the shot. Give Chimaev a 170 fight if he can make the weight. I know Dana said obviously he's fighting at middleweight next, but he's he weighed at 179.5. I'm not trusting Chimaev to make weight anytime soon.
Not even close. Yeah, I think welterweight, we got to get rid of some of these old guys. Colby and Jorge's got to go. And then we can actually start moving this division forward because it just feels like we're throwing the same guys over and over again.
Shavkat.
Yeah, we got to
Khan.
get Shavkat. Hamzat is a real good one. Even Sean Brady is still hanging out. Like, it's just get Masvidal and Covington out of here. Speaking of changing of the guard, Rafael Fiziev couldn't quite break into the big boy club, but damn, it was close, and damn, it was a good fight. What'd you make of the Justin Gaethje Fiziev fight?
I think it was fascinating, and it's as advertised. Yep. We knew we were getting a war.
Yep.
We predicted someone maybe going out cold. It is what it is. What a fight! It was had you on the edge of your seat for 15 minutes or 14 minutes and 50 seconds before Gaethje hit that takedown. He got his takedown.
Yeah,
and everyone can shut up now. I like that from Gaethje, but Gaethje's used to that. He's got that war experience. He's been in brutal fights. Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez, Chandler, Oliveira. He's been in these wars. Michael Johnson. He's used to being landed on and landing back. Now Fiziev is such a slick striker that he's not really used to being landed on all that much. When he hits people, they go down.
Yeah,
Moya Kana, Brad Riddell, for example. And whether I think he just wasn't used to hitting someone and then just zombieing forward, which I can't blame Fiziev. I said before the fight, I can't remember if I said it on my preview, if I definitely mentioned it to my friends. Fiziev's cardio isn't great.
No, it's not.
He gassed in that third round without a doubt. He didn't throw an awful lot in that third round in comparison to the first, in comparison to the second. If we just maybe he did. Okay, maybe he did. He threw 70 shots in that final round, but it seemed like there was a lot of the round that he wasn't throwing. And there was a point in the fight where no man had thrown a jab. It was just hooks. It was just brutal body kicks. I think Gaethje was hurt to the body without a doubt. But as soon as Gaethje started throwing that jab out there, it was cut up Fiziev. It cut up Fiziev. It cut up Fiziev. And I think it was a really mature performance by Gaethje because he didn't quite get drawn into that absolute all-out swing and war. He still had cardio at the end of that fight, Gaethje, because he took a little bit off in the second round. He took a little bit off in the third round, and it was a really good performance. But ironically, I think Fiziev matches better up with Islam Makhachev than Gaethje does. But
what do you mean by what do you mean?
As far as Islam Makhachev, obviously the champion of the division, I think Fiziev matches up better and has a better chance of beating Islam Makhachev than Justin Gaethje does.
Like stance and takedown defense and things like that. Yeah, I know. Justin Gaethje didn't have much for these guys.
Exactly. Gaethje overswings, and there's no.
He didn't overswing in this fight. In this fight, he didn't overswing. I wanted to make note. He didn't fall over himself throwing a hook this time. That's
Not
growth.
in the second and third, but in the first, he looked like he was going to. He
That's
was
growth.
swinging.
That's still growth.
Exactly. But yeah, ironically, I do think Fiziev maybe matches up better against Islam Makhachev than Justin Gaethje, despite the fact that he lost the fight. I'd be fascinated to watch Fiziev versus Islam, and I'm sure it's a fight that we'll see further down the line, regardless of whether it's for the title or not.
Mm-hmm.
But Gaethje is now, he said he's got one more run at the title left in him.
Mm-hmm.
The Poirier fight's the fight to make for me. The Poirier rematch. Whether he gets it, I'm not sure. I don't. If he does get it, I don't know who Islam will face. Let's be honest. Islam will be headlining that Abu Dhabi card in October, and he'll possibly get a favorable decision or a favorable opponent in that one. Yeah. But I'm not sure if they don't go Gaethje versus Poirier. I don't know who they go for in that one. I'm not sure.
Well, the thing is, it's such a good fight, but if one guy's going towards a title, Dustin Poirier has almost said, like, I'm probably not beating a guy like Islam Makhachev. I'm just here for money fights. For Dustin, that's a good fight. For Justin, he might lose that fight, and he's been confidently saying, like, I want to fight for a title. That is what my future holds. It is fighting for a title. I don't know if he beats Dustin. I actually still don't. I mean, it's a good fight, and it was fight of the year under multiple publications when they did it. It would be a great fight now. Both guys are still amazing. I still don't really know if it's the right fight. But the Fiziev fight was very good, and I think it showed Fiziev does deserve to be in this conversation, in the top guys. The body kicks were working, all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't do anything for Dustin, right?
I don't think it does. No, I agree. I'm just looking back. It was 2017. Dustin Poirier lost December of 2017, Dustin Poirier lost to Eddie Alvarez by knockout. April, he then lost to Dustin Poirier by knockout. Now, that's not a long. That's 4 months. That's 4 or 5 months with the days being concerned. That isn't a long amount of time at all to be out of action after being knocked out. And let's not forget the Michael Johnson fight came 5 months before the Eddie Alvarez fight. His brain hadn't, in my opinion, hadn't quite sort of healed. You compare that to when he came back from Charles Oliveira, that was last May. Yeah. He now fights in March, I agree that I don't think that just looking at the rankings, obviously, they're set to, I mean, they're set to change today, but whether they will actually change, Charles Oliveira ranked number 1. We know he's facing Beneil Dariush in a few months' time. Dustin Poirier, number 2, Justin Gaethje, number 3. Michael Chandler's out of the question at number 5, facing Conor McGregor, of course. Rafael Fiziev, number 6. Who does if Dustin doesn't fight for the belt, who does Dustin face? Because, are we looking as far down as Mateusz Gamrot, number 7? That's not a money fight. The money fight in the division is Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier for Dustin. He's got that money now. He's got that McGregor money. He's had the trilogy. He's got the 2 McGregor fights, as it were. But for Justin Gaethje, do you risk going as far down as a Mateusz Gamrot, who, let's be honest, a win over Mateusz Gamrot doesn't do anything for Justin Gaethje's title push? Whether he sits out and faces the loser or the winner of Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush, who knows? But yeah, going back to the fight itself, as advertised, absolute war. But
Justin Gaethje's worth the money. I think he's one of the bigger paid guys in the UFC, and plus the fight night bonuses, he's worth it.
Rightfully so. Justin Gaethje probably got more he's probably been paid more in bonuses than most of the UFC fighters have been paid with 5 or more fights.
Yeah.
For appearances and wins. The guy's got 11 post-fight bonuses in 11 fights. Yeah. And I think even the fights that I don't know if you get anything for fight of the year, but if you do, he's racking up the money and rightfully so. He deserves it. He's a really fun fighter, but not only is he a fun fighter, he met Fiziev not on the end of Fiziev's strikes in the clinch.
Yep.
He dominated with a jab in the 3rd round. He got that takedown that we've all been asking for.
Yeah.
Really good performance by Justin Gaethje. And like you say, he's worth the money that he's paid.
Oh, a cosign. I majorly cosign with everything that you're saying there. Like, he is one of the more entertaining guys in MMA history. He's everything I like about MMA, even though he doesn't even have a style that I particularly like. We'll talk about it when we get to Marvin Vettori. There's a certain style that you and I clearly like. And he's not quite that style. He is like a brawler, but he's found a very intelligent way to go about brawling, to find the right openings, to find the right timings on these things. He is pretty much everything that we like about MMA. Absolutely major fan of Justin Gaethje. But yeah, can we talk about Marvin Vettori?
Without a doubt. I am dubious about that decision.
Yeah, me too. First of all, me too.
30-27 in favor of Vettori.
So I knew what the result was before I watched the fight because I caught it the next day, but I was a little bit surprised. I was like, so when does Vettori start switching into gear and start striking on this guy? So we'll talk about what we said is that he was training in Thailand with the best Muay Thai and kickboxers in the world to really straighten things out. His kick maybe looked slightly better, but it didn't help him. That didn't make any difference to it. He still flares his elbows. He still punches. He's still pushing weirdly. But in terms, I guess he was kicking more, and that probably helped. But yeah, I don't know about this decision, right?
I think if he wasn't blessed with a granite chin,
yeah, he's tough.
We'd be looking at Vettori on the end of a knockout loss. You know, he kind of relies on that granite chin to get him through this fight, in my opinion. Yeah, I think you could certainly tell he'd worked on his kicks. He was a lot more willing to throw them.
Yeah.
But after he was hit and he was after he was landed upon, he kind of reverted to type, you know, like you say, flaring out the elbows, these big kind of looping shots, trying to explode off the fence. And
yeah,
30-27 in favor of Vettori. He lost the first round without a doubt. And, you know, we've always said you can't judge a fight on stats alone because Marvin Vettori outlanded Dolodzi in that first round, 38-29. But he was damaged in that first round, you know. Yeah. I expected Dolodzi to maybe try and wrestle a little bit more, but you know, why wrestle when you're doing well? You know, you know, it's a weird fight, and
yeah.
But again, you know, it gets Vettori back on the horse. I guess he faces. I mean, Jared Cannonier next. It's the only fight for him. Really doesn't face Israel Adesanya or Robert Whittaker because we've proven multiple times he's not on their level. Jared Cannonier's ranked number 3. He's ranked number 4. He's beaten Paulo Costa, Dricus du Plessis. I mean, that's a horrible looking fight. Vettori versus Dricus du Plessis. I'm not sure if I'd even watch it. You know, it's a messy, horrible fight stylistically. He probably faces Jared Cannonier next.
Man, when we ordered new middleweights, are we ever going to get new middleweights in this division? This division, we ran through, like, you're fighting through the levels so that you can fight the champion. I don't care about any of these guys rising to a title level because they're not showing any improvements. Jared Cannonier and Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori are not getting better since they lost their fights to the champions. Like, who gives a crap about these? Exactly. Just get Robert Whittaker to fight any of, like, there's 3 amazing fighters at middleweight and they should just be fighting over and over again. The rest of the division can be cut. I don't care.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, I almost kind of hope Alex Pereira wins against Israel Adesanya. So we've got that fresh matchup, Robert Whittaker versus Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
Kamzat coming in at some point because he's about 250 pounds at the moment. But, you know, I agree. I just didn't, it was a bad fight to open up the main card, in my opinion, just because of the way it played out. On paper, it was a good fight. You know, 2 highly ranked middleweights, you know, top 10 guys. I think Dolodzi was ranked number 8, was he? No, ranked number 9, and Vettori ranked number 4 going into the fight. But it was not an attractive fight to watch after. But then, you know, we got Casey O'Neill and Gunnar Nelson, and then we got the co-main event, and then we got the main event. So it wasn't the worst main card in the world. I just think it was a strange decision. I thought Vettori won 2-1. 30-27 is weird.
But,
you know, he got a good decision. He got a favorable decision, which is, you know, it is what it is. But like you say, we ordered more middleweights. When are they getting delivered? Because
my God.
I cannot, you know, looking down the middleweight division, I'm not interested in seeing any of, you know, Calvin Gastelum, Chris Curtis, Andre Muniz. Brendan Allen's exciting because he looked good in his last one.
There's one. Okay, we got one.
Imanov, Jack Hermansson, Roman Dolodzi. Roman Dolodzi was maybe an exciting prospect, but he lost. You know, he goes back to the drawing board. Derek Brunson, still ranked. I'm pretty sure he retired after that last one. Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis, Paulo Costa, Vettori, Cannonier, Whittaker, Adesanya, Pereira. It's so stale in there. Give Brendan Allen a title shot. Do you know what I mean?
Like, why not?
I'm just not interested in that division. And there's no one really from welterweight that I could see other than Hamzat moving up because it's such a big jump. That 15 pounds, you know, the size of Alex Pereira in comparison to the size of Leon Edwards is dangerous for Edwards.
Oh yeah,
he's just massive. You know, it's a risk. But it is what it is. And moving on to Katie O'Neill, the
I'm glad we got to
flyweight
complain.
division.
I'm really happy we got to complain. That was great. Loved it. Okay, so Casey O'Neill, yeah. She looked flat, but Jennifer
Yeah.
Maia also didn't look that good either.
The thing is, I thought Jennifer Maia looked really good on
Okay.
in boxing range, not in kickboxing range.
Mm,
She was piecing Casey up, and Casey just couldn't find a range until sort of the end of the second round, beginning of the third round. She
yeah.
couldn't get her hands on Maia, and she was ultimately outclassed. I think I do have to question, Casey. Not, she put her thing 9 months ago. I couldn't walk. She's just gone 15 hard minutes. She is coming off the ACL injury, of course, the ACL sort of reconstruction. Is that why she wasn't kicking the leg of Maya? Because
Yeah.
you're getting boxed up badly. Take the leg out of Jennifer Maya, then she won't be able to box you so much. If she can't put any weight on that front leg,
On the
she won't
yeah.
be able to box you. Maybe the ACL surgery played a part in her not kicking that leg, not attacking that calf. I'm just looking at stats now. She didn't shoot for a single takedown.
Mhm.
That's kind of Casey O'Neill's game, to get the fight to the floor when she can. She's not the best wrestler in the world. It is what it is. She didn't get any takedowns against Roxanne Modafferi. She tried for two. She shot for one takedown in this fight, didn't get it. If you look at her three most dominant wins, Shayna Dobson finished it by TKO on the floor.
Mhm.
A submission in her second fight, rear naked choke from the floor. Antonina Shevchenko, she took her down 3 times, dominated on the floor. She got a split decision win against Roxanne Modafferi.
Mhm.
Roxanne's with the greatest respect, she's a pioneer of women's MMA.
Absolutely.
Her striking atrocious,
Yes.
and Jennifer Maia just boxed her up. I think, like I say, maybe the ACL, maybe she wasn't quite as confident in her knee kicking, which is why she didn't attack the lower leg of someone that's boxing her up. The uppercuts for Maia were landed 9 times out of 10. But we found a hole in Casey O'Neill's game now, and it's time for her and her team to fix that hole, to to fill the hole, and to improve her striking, improve her wrestling, because she's still only, I think she's 25, Casey O'Neill. I still think she's going to be flyweight champion. I just think that you found that hole in the game now,
Yeah.
fill it and fix it. And at 25, she's got the world ahead of her. She's definitely got time on her hands to fix that. I think we'll see her once more this year. This loss is going to hurt for her, because I think it was a big step up in competition to go from Roxanne Modafferi to Jennifer Maia, who's obviously a former title contender, highly ranked girl who's only lost to the best. It's going to hurt for Casey, but I don't think she takes a huge step back in the division, because
No.
again, we'll head over to the rankings. She was ranked number 12. Jennifer Maia was ranked number 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Casey beats the 3 girls below her. Macy Barber, I think she beats her. Tracy
Yes.
Cortez, I think she probably beats her.
Yeah.
And Cynthia Calvillo, I think she dominates her.
Probably.
I think she could maybe even beat some of the girls above her. Amanda Hebas, Lauren Murphy potentially.
Yeah.
Does she even beat Caitlin Chikagian? Styles make fights, but we like I say, we found the hole in Casey's game now. It's the stand up, it's the closing distance and getting into distance effectively without being hit. It's the slipping off the first punch. And it's now time for her and her team to work on that and to fix it. But I do think that she'll be the flyweight champion at some point. Like I say, she's 25 years old. This one's going to sting because she's coming off the ACL injury. It's her first professional loss. But I don't think that she takes a massive step back as far as the rankings are concerned, because she was fighting up. She was fighting for a girl 4 places above her.
Yeah.
It's going to sting, but I do think Casey is still one of the better prospects in the flyweight division, without a doubt.
And this is why ACL and knee injuries are so serious. Like, sometimes you just don't come back the same person. And that was just last year, and she's still recovering.
9 months, 9 months. She's still turned it around,
and she's still struggling with it.
Exactly.
Man, and this is what makes us so nervous about a guy like Tom Aspinall. Like, I'm genuinely nervous about like what he's going to look like when he comes. This is why we're saying take all the time, rehab, just spend some time, rehab. You don't have to fight. But yeah, Casey O'Neill, yeah, we still look forward to her developing, and now she gets a chance. And Gunnar Nelson got a win.
I liked it.
I me too.
Brutal elbow, ripped the arm off of Brian Barberena.
Textbook. This is like
Gunnar Nelson.
Oh,
it's
man.
Gunnar Nelson.
Man, it just had to be that, or he was going to get beat up for the next 4 rounds. There was no, or 3 rounds. There was no possible way it was going to go any other way. It was either a textbook armbar, or he just floats around getting punched in the head. This is the
Yeah,
two
for
Gunnar
sure.
Nelson fights.
I had no doubt that Gunny was going to get the fight to the floor because Brian Barberona's takedown defense is pretty atrocious. But
Yeah.
it weird fight to put on the main card, but I'm here for it.
It was a very cool armbar, and especially for newer fans, showing them an armbar, it's
Yeah.
visually a very cool thing to do. It's not like a head and arm choke when everyone asks like, what is that? What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't
Why
see
does
it.
that hurt?
Oh, it's a pin, like in wrestling. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
but an armbar, you can visually like very quickly just like that.
You can see
hurts a
the
ton.
arm bending the other way. It's extremely effective, and you can see the torque on his hips. He kind of had it in position, and then he flicked his hips forward to really extend that out. Oh, it's horrible, but
I loved it.
I get horrible but good. It's this sick sport of MMA.
But what now? What Gunnar Nelson got to win against? Like, what do you do with him now? Is he going to take 4 years away again and then just come back and beat some other perennial contender? Like, what do you do with Gunnar Nelson? Is he going to keep climbing the ranks, or is he just
no
a feature?
idea. Let's not forget that he was ranked highly before he faced Damian Maia. Good, 6-7 years ago. He's been ranked at welterweight. He's dropped out the rankings. I think he's been ranked again. He's dropped out again. He's picked up a few losses. He picked up a few wins.
Yeah.
I think he just, he said that he enjoys coaching more than he does fighting. So I think maybe we'll get next time the UFC is in London. I'm not. If Gunny retired today, I wouldn't be gutted, but I'd be gutted if I never saw him fight again, which is kind of ironic. I like watching Gunnar Nelson fight because he's a karate guy with the craziest accent I've ever heard, who's got an amazing wrestling game and a phenomenal ground game. He should be a lot better than he is.
Yeah,
it's not quite played out that way, but it is what it is for Gunny. Like you say, I have no idea who he's going to. He's slated to face D-Rod. Weird fight. Yes. D-Rod's just coming off a couple of big losses, but to top guys.
Yeah,
weird
I do like.
Fight.
Yeah, I like the older man division of like there is maybe a host of fighters who aren't working towards a title, and the UFC.
It's like this one, Brian Barberena made perfect sense for me.
Yeah. And the UFC doesn't like that model, but I'm fine with it. And I think that's kind of the division that he's going to maybe Robbie Lawler. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the range that we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's a few other guys in there. I don't know. Yeah, it was a fun one, though. It was very cool. What other fight did you like on this one? Should we talk about the knee bar?
I don't want to talk about the knee bar. It makes me feel sick. Makes me feel sick.
It is Makayev, like, good job not tapping. That's cool. Have
you seen his knee this morning?
That's the thing. This actually causes permanent damage for a young man. Is he coming back the same? Like, that actually does cause permanent damage to, like, you should have just tapped out. You might not be talking about fighting for 12 months now due to this knee injury.
No, I don't think we see him back this year. I don't know if you've seen the image on Twitter of his knee.
I have not.
I'll try and God's sake, I'll try and share my screen.
And like good grit for pushing forward and stuff, but genuinely just you shouldn't have done that.
Are you able to allow me to share my screen?
Man.
Because it's worth it. If we can find it quickly, it's worth it. But a pretty decent performance. It wasn't as standout as maybe we'd be used to from Mohamed Mokayev. But he goes on and he wins another fight at the end of the day.
Try. Can you hit the button? Yeah. Okay.
So.
Oh no! It's so bad.
Is the knee. This is the knee.
So terrible.
It's. I mean, if you just look at that angle of the leg, it obviously starts beneath his hip and goes all the way here.
Yeah.
And you can see the grimace on his face here. And that is the outcome.
Oh my God.
You think that guy's fighting again this year? You're sadly mistaken. And there's no chance we see Mohamed Mokayev. Well, I mean, if we do, it is a phenomenal turnaround from Mo Mokayev, but I cannot. He had elasticated knees. He had elasticated knees. He now no longer has. He's got
broken knees. Like this is the knee injury we're talking about. You don't come back from this stuff. He actually needs to retire, do a bunch of steroids, and then come back to the UFC because
it's the model now.
What a weird sport we're in. Like, this is the weirdest thing.
But anyway, it's ridiculous. I think,
promising and now bad knee.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was 3 standouts on the prelims for me: Jack Shaw, Jake Hadley, and Veronica Hardy. I was, I don't mean to brag, I picked correctly 13 out of 15 fights on this card.
Nice.
I got Casey O'Neill wrong, which I think everybody did, and I also got Sam Patterson wrong, which I think a lot of people did as well. It's a brutal knockout. But Jack Shaw, he looked fleshy at 145. I don't think He looked great physically at 145, but it is what it is. He endured that first round against Makwan Amirkhani and then finished it in the second. That's the story of Amirkhani's career. Jake Hadley with that brutal liver shot. They were saying on the broadcast that Malcolm Gordon had been having liver issues in fight camp, and Jake Hadley lands on the liver and just collapses Malcolm Gordon and called out Mokaev. Now, if Mokaev comes back from this knee injury, we'll have to see how he fares. But that's a domestic fight that I could be interested in. I'm gutted for Chris Leroy Duncan because I don't think that's how he wanted his debut to go, with a potential another ACL being torn from Dusko to Dorovic. And Veronica Hardy, I think, put on, out of all the decisions, I think, aside from Leon Edwards, I think hers was the best decision. She was a massive underdog going into this fight, huge underdog against Juliana Miller. Juliana Miller was kind of the hot prospect coming off a tough, and Veronica just battered her. She got in a couple of places where she maybe could have tapped out, but and she said having Dan Hardy, as a husband and in her corner is like a cheat code. And I think that played out on Saturday night, because it was a really solid performance by Veronica Hardy. And I'm excited. She took 3 years away from the sport. I'm excited to see what's next for Veronica Hardy.
Yeah. Incredible skills. This was a big deal getting a win like this. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the future here. Yeah. I'm sad that the Jai Herbert and Ludwig Klein ended the way it did. That's unfortunate, because both of these guys are good growing prospects. So I would have liked to see a little bit more, or one guy actually move forward. But anyway, Leon Edwards won. So at the end of the day, who cares? That is all that matters. He's still champion at the end of the day, and he won a strong decision, showing that he was the better fighter overall. Oh, just changing narratives. I don't know. Sometimes we're just living in a dream.
I'm just here for it. I like it. There's questions to be asked as far as what's next for Leon Edwards. There's questions to be asked with regards to what's next for Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
And we showed that, Justin Gaethje isn't a one-trick pony of just going out there and brawling.
Yeah.
Leon Edwards isn't just a one-trick pony of, I landed a high kick on Kamaru Usman and knocked him to the shadow realm. He can outpoint one of the best. Let's be honest, Kamaru Usman's one of the best welterweights that we've ever seen. Leon Edwards now has 2 decisive wins over him, and there's no real call for a fourth fight, in my opinion.
Beat him at the height of his
career.
Days. Hey, let me ask you, best UK fighter in MMA history, has Leon Edwards surpassed Michael Bisping at this point, or is it still a Bisping?
I think maybe Bisping on longevity at the moment. He's done it. He did it for so long, but I think already Leon Edwards, as far as Luke Rockhold, let's not forget, won the title and then had never defended it. It was his first defense against Bisping.
Yeah,
he wasn't a dominant champion. And then the Dan Henderson fight was a narrative fight, and Dan Henderson didn't deserve the title shot. Leon Edwards,
Silva, but he outboxed Anderson Silva in the O2. That alone is a pretty big deal.
It's extremely. There was calls for Darren Till to be in that conversation. Not quite.
It's a rough country for MMA.
It's tough. This side of the ocean is tough. We've got Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann.
Don't forget Lee Murray. You always got Lee Murray in a prison somewhere.
We've got Tom Aspinall coming through. Tom Aspinall could take that mantle, but
yes,
I think based on longevity, I'm still picking Bisping. But Leon gets 1 or 2 more wins.
Yeah,
let's not forget he's got probably more wins over the dominant guys, and he hasn't picked up losses like Bisping. No disrespect to Bisping, but he always was that nearly guy. He almost got the title shot when he lost to Chael Sonnen. He almost got the title shot. I think he lost to Brian Stan. I mean, Dan Hardy got the title shot, wasn't able to do much with it in the end, then got knocked out by Condit. But Dan Hardy's a pioneer of the sport.
Yes.
Leon Edwards beat the dominant guy.
Yeah.
And he's dominating the division again. Yeah. But, a couple of fights, Leon Edwards. Who knows?
I was doing an article about Liam Harrison, and he was like, this was last year, and he was like, if I win this fight, I'm the greatest UK Muay Thai fighter in history. And I was like, man, Liam, who are you competing with?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're 1, 2, and 3, Liam.
Yeah. I don't think there's not much. Haggerty, maybe.
But he's in the conversation, again, but this isn't saying a lot.
No. The fact that that's even, there's not much debate to be had there, in my opinion. Liam is Yeah, like we can debate a Bisping and a Leon Edwards. We
Yes.
can't debate a Liam Harrison and a Liam Harrison from 3 years ago. Which one was
Yeah.
better? Would you kind of think?
Yeah, yeah.
Which just
What
says
era of
more about
Liam?
him than it does about the says more about the state of UK MMA, sorry, than it does about him. So
Yeah.
Muay Thai, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, Liam's a legend. Anyways, we got 5 minutes left. Talk us on out of here. What do you got going on this week? All that good stuff.
We've got an article on the site at the moment, MMASucka.com. Who's next for Leon Edwards? Makes for quite an interesting read. If you listen to this, I think you know that I want Bilal Muhammad next.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, you've got a big interview dropping.
Yeah.
That,
Roberto Soldic. That's a good one.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, me and Tim are jumping back on a podcast. I think we'll do about half an hour speaking to Melissa Dixon about her upcoming Eras FC. I don't know what number the event is, but Eras FC, she's competing for the bantamweight strap. And then we'll do the last half an hour previewing the weekend because we've got banger of a UFC card. And of course, we've got the PFL in Newcastle kicking off their PFL Europe with Dakota Ditchever and Simeon Powell kind of co-headlining that fight card. So, tune in. We've got obviously this going out. We've got a couple of articles on the site, and we've got another show on Wednesday for you guys. So tune in, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Thanks so much for your time, Frazer.
Thank you, mate.